Hey, hey, hey! Welcome to A Place to Yap, where big feelings meet even bigger opinions. I'm your girl Taj. This is your weekly permission slip to speak your truth, feel all the feels, and grow through what you go through. Today we're yapping about the family that you create. Not the one that you came from, not the one that you were born into, but the one that you chose. The one that you built from love, from boundaries, and from your growth. This episode matters because so many of us are unlearning what we thought family had to look like. We were taught to stay loyal to dysfunction, to keep peace even if it cost us our own, and equate blood with feeling like you belong. But the truth is, sometimes the deepest love and safety come from people we choose, not the ones we were given. This conversation is for anyone who's ever felt alone in a room full of relatives, for anyone who's raising kids while trying to reparent themselves, for anyone brave enough to break a cycle, to set a boundary, or even create a home that feels like peace, even if it's not the traditional home. Because the family you create, through friendship, through healing, through love, is just as real, just as valid, and just as sacred as the one you came from. Honestly, maybe even more. You deserve a family that feels like home, that feels like peace, that feels like safety. And if you don't have that yet, you deserve the hope that it's still possible. This week's affirmation is, I am allowed to create a family that feels safe, sacred, and mine, even if it looks nothing like what I grew up with. Now let's get into the yap. I remember feeling support from people who was not my family and literally getting ridiculed more by people who were my family, whether it was from my weight, from the choices I made in having children, who I was dating, down to what I was wearing, how I did my hair, how I spoke, so many different things. They were so critical, always. And everybody wasn't critical. I had some people that were supportive, but honestly, they built this system in me that made me think that everything I learned in life had to be a hard lesson. Nothing I learned could be a soft, a response or a soft lesson or just a learning experience. Everything had to be harsh, tough love. Every time you turn around, it's like, in a sense, like Cameron from Pain and Fool, you tough, right? Like, I always felt like everything had to just be so harsh. But over time, it caused me to develop that towards others. Whenever I'm dealing with a situation, I feel like I have to give people just as harsh of a lesson or just as harsh of a delivery as I've gotten. Don't sugarcoat it. For what? What's the reason that I need to sugarcoat it for? You're an adult. That's how everything was delivered to me. It wasn't always delivered sweet. So now in my 30s, it's starting to be a different experience when I'm dealing with someone, and if they're giving me a critique or they're giving me praise or they're giving me some type of information, it's not delivered in that way. So it almost feels foreign. It almost feels like, is this real? Is this what I'm supposed to be experiencing? I'm so caught up in survival and what I've had to adapt and adjust to because of how I grew up and the things that I've experienced. And even having a conversation with my husband recently, he was asking me questions about childhood. Well, when did you feel like you had to start making adult decisions? And I was like, probably elementary school, in between our 9 and 11-year-olds age. Even before then, I was so young. I think because I had to grow up, let's say 10 years old, growing up making those harsh or hard decisions about where I would live or if I wanted to still be at home, running away, choosing who I wanted to live with, things that as a kid you shouldn't even have to worry about. You should be worrying about playing outside, making sure that you're not being abused or watching abuse or witnessing abuse, feeling helpless like you can't stand up for yourself or for the people around you. Honestly, it just makes me think about the fact that it's like I didn't have a real childhood. I had somewhat of a childhood, but I was making adult decisions too early in life. It caused me to not give grace to others when it came to delivery or information or how I felt about a situation. In a sense, I wasn't given that grace. I wasn't given that option. Honestly, I was born into it. I was born into survival. So that's all I know. Give it to you straight, no chaser. I can kind of dance around it, but you can see that I'm choosing my words so carefully that eventually you're going to say, well, just give it to me. When I do, it's like, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's not what I was expecting. It was definitely a hard lesson. I had to learn and I had to adjust when I started having children, because even though I'm very honest with my kids, I'm not always super critical in my delivery because it could hurt their feelings, but I'm also real with them and I let them know, like, the world is going to be harsher than me. So I'm trying to prepare you for the world. I'm never like trying to break them down to the point where they can't sustain or survive or not build up their confidence. I'm just not going to always sugarcoat the information with them. I don't want you to grow up with this warped sense of what you think the world is going to be either. You know, I want you to be able to know, like, you're going to encounter different types of people. I don't want you to be naive to what you're going to walk into the world. And I don't know if that's the correct way, but it's the only way that I know. And honestly, when I feel like I can do better, I adjust. You know, it's a learning lesson. The family you create for yourself. Family is important. I feel like your chosen family is more important than the family you were born into, your blood. Family is not always blood. You can be around a mother or a father who don't want the best for you or haven't ever broken any cycles to know how to get the best for you. So you're kind of fighting against them and their choices that they made in life. When I look at, my mom is no longer here. She passed in 2014 and my stepdad passed in 2013. My biological father, we have a strained relationship. I don't look at him like he's my dad. I call him dad. I say he's my dad, but I feel our relationship is more cordial than it is as a parent. I find that when I look at how he is with my other siblings, he's more of a father to them, especially the younger two, than he was to any of his older kids. The father that they have is the father that I'll never know. Come to an understanding that I just won't have that. That's not a part of my journey, unfortunately, but I was able to provide it for my kids, so that's a blessing. Finding out and learning that family is who shows up for you. Family is who sees you. Family is who supports you. Family is where you're going to get your healing, where you're going to get your safety, where you're going to get your light and laughter from. I find that that's been family for me. People that I wanted to be my family were people that were constantly belittling me, or I feel like I have to please them in order for them to accept me, and constantly have to dim my light, constantly have to lower my voice, constantly have to tone myself down to make them feel comfortable because they refuse to deal with their own shit. So it's like, okay, well, eventually they're going to like me because I'm a likable person. In all reality, they really don't like you. They just tolerate you. Then I seen a post where it was like, you have something that they like. And even if you don't have anything they like how people view or treat them because they're associated with you or because they're with you. That was definitely eye-opening. I'm in a space of getting out of toxic cycles and toxic family dynamics. I hate the phrase, but that's your mom, but that's your dad, but that's your aunt, but that's your cousin. Let me tell you something. People, the title doesn't matter. People will tear you down to the ground just because of a title. And they'll keep picking and poking and prodding because they know you're going to forgive them, because everyone around them has told them, but that's your aunt, but that's your cousin. They don't mean nothing by it. They don't love you. It's just tough love, or it's just how they show their love, but they really just want the best for you. I've had situations where, I spent the night at a cousin's house and I really didn't know them that well. I was getting to know them, and I woke up and they were all huddled up talking about me. So I decided that I wanted to leave, and I was going to walk home in the morning because I just didn't feel comfortable. The energy felt off. And as I was leaving the house, one of my cousins literally jumped on me and started grabbing me by my hair, tried to push my face in the dirt. And I was so confused because it caught me off guard. So I was literally telling her to get off me, get off me. I'm like, what are you doing? She was like, oh, our big cousin bet to see if I could beat you up or not, so I'm not going to lose that bet. I'm like, I don't want to fight you. Get off me. I literally pushed her off of me. I'm going home. When they don't want to get in trouble, so they try to smooth it over with me before, and I was like, I'm fine. I just want to leave. Because I was just like, first of all, I knew I was outnumbered because I was around a bunch of family members that had already been hanging out together that I really never hung out with. And my dad was trying to push my family on me because his wife didn't approve the friends that I was hanging out with, and they weren't the best girls, but they were my friends. So he kept pushing family, family, family. You need to hang out with your family. And that was my first experience hanging out at my family's house. Was one of them trying to beat me up. And I'm like, what the hell? It caught me so off guard. The next experience I had was with another cousin. You know, we went to the park. There was boys playing basketball. She wanted to hang out with the boys. I didn't want to. I wasn't into that. Like, I either played basketball or I just wanted to like run around the park, and like I was like a tomboy. She got upset with me because I refused to stay and like, do whatever she wanted to do. So unfortunately for me, she left me there. She left me in a park, in an area that I never had been by myself. I was trying to figure out how to get back to her house. So some way, somehow, I ended up talking to a stranger and having them bring me to a store that I knew was connected, because I've always looked for landmarks, because unfortunately, as a kid, I got lost. She was like, oh, when I finally got to her house, she's like, I was so worried about you. Like, my dad was asking me about you and all this. And then in my mind, I'm like, if you cared, why would you leave me? It's not like you left and walked back to me. It's okay. You know what, let's just go to my house. Whatever, I have an attitude, but I'm not going to leave you here. No, she left me there. And then she was at home and I had came up the back steps. So I don't think he even saw me, because even in then I wasn't trying to get her in trouble. It just been those type of situations where I'm like, these are like my actual cousins. These are not play cousins. These are family members that I've had experiences with. I forgave them and I've hung out with them later on in life, not in my 30s, my 20s. It was just a sad situation. How can I look at people differently or look at family differently when the experiences I've had with family sometimes has been worse than experiences I've had with strangers? I've had some bad experiences with strangers, or not even worse, but just like up there with the what the fuck? Why? I don't even teach my children to chase after people. People want to be a part of your life. They're going to be a part of your life. Whether it's your grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, I'm not going to force you guys on anybody, and I'm not going to force anybody on you guys. Who shows up for you is who shows up for you. They're getting older, they're having phones, they're starting to see that there's people that's not showing up, and I'm not forcing anybody to do anything. I understand keeping the family connected, but when you start to realize you're the one that's constantly reaching out, you're the one that's constantly doing everything, it starts to get tiring. Well, why aren't you giving me the same energy back? That's one thing I'm breaking, is the people who show up for them. I tell them even with their friends. If you know someone's your friend, if they're going to stick by your side, whether they're an ally, they're not going to ever let you take the fall for some shit, or they're not going to leave you hanging, or they're not going to leave you out to dry. They're not going to try to embarrass you in front of a bunch of people. They're not going to try to put you down in front of a bunch of people. They're going to look out for you, just like I teach them to look out for each other. Those are going to be the people that are your friends. I'm breaking the cycle is I'm not teaching them, oh, that's just your cousin, or that's just your this, or that's your... No, if they do you dirty, they do you dirty. That's a character flaw. You don't have to accept it. You can forgive it. You don't have to accept it. And if you start to see that they keep doing it, it's clear that they don't care to change. They don't want to change. They don't have any motivation to change, and they're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. Honestly, all I've ever wanted was a safe space, a safe place to like call home and to flourish and grow, because I've always been creative. I'm still working through being a people pleaser and saying no to people. With my dad, it's been easier for me to say no. I feel like, what have you done for me to make me feel obligated to return anything back to you? I've either been on my own or in relationships where I've just had to figure it out, and I've been taught lessons. I got with my husband, we were dating. I learned so much more through that situation than when we started having kids. Even how a father is supposed to be. When I look at how he is and how he can be tired and get up for work every day, he's making sure his kids are good. He's spending time with them. He's checking on them. He's talking to them. He's doing all that stuff. I look at my dad and I'm like, what is your excuse? I understand you had different baby moms. Even with me being an adult now, you're still doing the same things. You're still not showing up. You're not answering the phone. You're not returning my phone calls. I'm constantly feeling like I'm chasing you, like Tom and Jerry. I shouldn't feel like that when it comes to you being a parent. Maybe in the past you could have used my mom as an excuse and say, oh, your mom was keeping me from you guys, or whatever people like to say, BS. But in all reality, she's been gone for 10 years. I'm about to be 37, and you're still doing the same thing. So at one point, does it start to be like, well, is that really the case? Or are you just not wanting to step up for whatever reason? I see how you show up for your other kids, and you still don't show up for me. I've never felt protected by you. I felt love, but I've never felt protected. You didn't teach me a lot of things. You probably showed me more what not to do than what you actually taught me. It's interesting. I've been parenting myself for so long that I feel like so much older than what I actually am. I had to become the parent that I needed, but I still struggle with the people pleasing and wanting that from other people. My life is starting to do a 180 where I'm getting that from people that are volunteering that love and nurturing mothering to me. I used to chase after with other women in my life. I started to meet these women in line dancing that have showed me that, like, without even knowing me that long, less than a year, they're constantly looking out, hey, check in, let me know you got home safe, messaging me, checking up on me. They can tell when there's a shift in my mood or a tone, even through text. I haven't had that in so long, so it almost feels foreign, especially when you've been doing it on your own for so long or just trying to find your way. It's a different situation. Even when I think about my friendships, those have went through so many different roller coasters. Like at one point, when me and one of my closest friends, we didn't talk for 2 years. When that situation came back around, I was a little resistant at first because I don't want to fully open up. I don't know if this is going to happen again. I feel like it sent me to therapy because on top of everything else, I just started unpacking a lot of things. What did I do? Like, now this is another person that's no longer going to be in my life. And now it's like, okay, am I crazy? I don't even know I'm crazy. I'm just losing all these people and people are just dropping like flies out of my life. I'm starting to let my guard down because I do care and love her and she does me as well. And everybody has their journey and everybody has their own personal things going on. I'm just trying to learn to give grace. I wasn't given much grace as a kid, so it's hard for me. I give people grace to a certain extent, but I'm the type of person when I start to hyper focus on you and I feel like you have a pattern of doing something over and over and over again. My motto has always been the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. So if I watch you treating me or doing something over and over and over again, and I'm literally seeing that you're not going to change your ways, or if I'm having a conversation with you, not in the heat of the moment, but I may wait a day or two and then I'm like, hey, you know what? This really bothered me and you're being dismissive or disrespectful or telling me that I'm overreacting, then I'm going to start to be like, okay, I'm watching everything you're doing now. Everything to me starts to look suspicious. Now, I guess when you grow up in domestic violence and sometimes even when you're in a domestic violence relationship, mine was mental, not physical. You start to always be hyper focused on the problem in the room because you try to detect the problem before it even starts. That's how I am with everything in my life. I watch every little thing and I'm like, okay, I'm mental noting that, mental noting this until it starts to become something, no, I can't mess with you in that way or I have to put you in this category because you're moving this way and it's making me feel a type of way. My friends have definitely shown up and my new friends. What I appreciate is these are the new friends I'm making are low maintenance friendships. We don't always text or call each other all the time. I know they're there to support me. I'm there to support them. I'm slowly opening the can to let them know about me and asking them about themselves. Our friendship is not being built off of a trauma bond. We're just dancing and then our energies are just intertwining. We're cool and we just feel alive around each other. Then a sprinkle of this and that in there, like a sprinkle of them telling me about them and I'm telling them about me, us taking our time to get to know each other. That's what I appreciate. They're turning into my family. Like I look for them, they look for me. They're my line dance family, like mamas, aunties, sisters. That's what it's turning into for me. In regards to losing family members, and pushing family members away, I've had to do that. I've lost my mom. Losing my mom had me into an even more hyper focus than I ever was before because people were showing their true colors. They definitely were not showing support for me losing my mom, handling me any old type of way. I started to develop a lower tolerance for dealing with people in my family and outside of my family. Listen, when you lose your mom, it's a different feeling. It's you came from. It's what created you. So now that that's gone, what am I supposed to do now? Where am I supposed to go now? I can't call her if I have a question or ask her about family history or check up on her to see how she's doing, watch her age. She gets to be in her grandchildren's life. I can't do any of that. I developed this thing where I just fell back from people, especially when people were showing me that they really didn't give a damn about me. It was easier for me to just cut people off. Snip, snip. You don't care. You don't want to be in my life anyway. So why am I wasting my time? I started to understand I didn't have to take disrespect from family. Just because you're telling me that I'm obligated to do something because this person is my father or another person, I'm not obligated if they're being disrespectful. I'm not obligated if they're not showing up for me. You're telling yourself, oh, you're supposed to do this. Why do you figure I'm supposed to do that? What are they doing for me? There's something called reciprocity. If I'm always giving, who's pouring back in my cup? I got children to raise. I'm a wife. Who's pouring back in my cup? If I'm literally pouring back in everyone else's cup because you've told yourself, well, I'm this to you, I'm that to you, I'm your dad, I'm your aunt, I'm your cousin, so you have to do this. I don't. And vice versa. It's different if you were doing it for me because I'm going to naturally reciprocate because that's the type of person that I am. I know what it's like to not have anybody there for you. I know what it's like to be alone. I know what it's like to be misunderstood. I know what it's like to feel like you don't have anybody in your corner. I know what that's like. If it's only coming from me, there's a saying that says givers need to have limits because takers don't have any. They're going to just take and take and take, and they're going to know what sets you off. They're going to know what triggers you. They're going to know what they can get out of you because they're so used to being able to do it. I started to stand up for myself. I used to be the quiet cousin, the sweet cousin, the one that really didn't talk back or argue or do anything. I was quiet. I let people just walk all over me, to be honest. I was like, oh, well, I don't want to ruffle this person's feathers and I don't want to ruffle that person's feathers, but that's my grandmother or my grandfather. That's my family. I didn't want to ruffle people's feathers, so I stayed quiet and I let people just walk and tap dance all over me. Then I would get madder and madder because I haven't built up my voice. I haven't built up the strength to stand up for myself. And then you start to get to your adolescent years and you get older and you just start lashing out and everybody's looking at you like, she's crazy. What's wrong with her? But you just reach the point of you're like, I'm tired of being a doormat. I'm tired of people not understanding what I'm saying when I feel like I'm speaking English, but you don't hear me. You're acting like you don't understand where I'm coming from. Then you'll end up in the same situation years down the line. And I'm like, that's exactly what I was trying to explain to you then, but you didn't see it until you went through it. I get it. That's how some people operate. But I also feel like there's something called empathy. And even if you haven't went through it, you can try to understand where I'm coming from. A lot of the people in my family just didn't care to understand. They didn't want to hear me talking. They didn't want to hear me standing up for myself. They wanted to be able to walk all over me because it was easy for them. I'm carrying a light that they don't want to see. So I had to fall back and I had to just build my safety, build my family, and not feel obligated to deal with people in their BS. People who's constantly talking about you, people constantly trying to put you down, constantly trying to belittle in every aspect of why you wearing all that makeup, why you putting on a lot of weight, or why you talking like this? Oh, you're reinventing yourself again? Well, what's going on with this in your life? Oh, well, Jamal, he does everything. He provides a thing. You're a stay-at-home mom. He allowed you to do that? Like, it's always so much of what are you talking about at this point? You're too invested. I'm like Love and Hip Hop for you. I'm a soap opera for you. I'm General Hospital because you just invested in what I got going on. Why? Why are you worried about it? I used to always feel like I had to explain myself, and I can always tell when someone's not listening. You can see it. They start looking around. They're not really paying attention to you. They're not even looking at you. They don't really give a damn about what you're talking about. I just was like, who are they? Who are they for me to feel like I have to explain myself? They're my family, but are they? When I'm meeting new people, I'm acclimating them to my family and I'm building my own family. And I realize that I can say something and they truly hear me. They're listening intently. They're paying attention to me. And the attention's on me. Now I'm like, oh, wow, I'm not used to this. Now I really don't have much to say. Now I feel like I was constantly fighting to be heard. But what am I really saying now when people are actually listening? That's what made me start this podcast. I always have so much thoughts running through my mind. I'm an overthinker. Certain topics get me going, like the family that you create. The family that I came from is nothing compared to the family that I'm creating for myself. The children that I'm raising, the husband that I have, the women that I'm welcoming into my life, that's a part of, line dance family, building better relationships with the people that I am aligned in close proximity to, like my mother-in-law, like my sister-in-law. And we still have a ways to go, but it's definitely far from where it was. My two friends, from back home, building that. Everyone's not going to fit your mold and everyone's going to have different quirks. Everyone's going to have different traits, but you just choose. And then when I feel like I've had enough, I fall back. I know that God is going to remove people from my life. Everybody can't go. Everybody can't go to the next level. And some people are just going to fall off. They're going to fall off on their own. You're not even going to really have to do anything. It's going to be like a computer. It's going to be an error. You guys are not going to see eye to eye. You guys are not going to see each other. They're going to see you slowly rising and their path's going to take them somewhere else. And eventually you guys are just going to split anyway. And you may still talk here and there and be cordial, or you just may not talk at all. Some people have great families. Some people don't even have family trauma. Their family trauma looks nothing like mine. They probably don't even know how I'm still standing. I can use humor, movies, and music to get through my trauma. There is people that come from a great family dynamic and background, and there's people that don't. I chose to let God guide me through and pray for years for me to find my tribe. I'm finally building that. The pieces are slowly starting to come together. Oh, wow. This is what it feels like. I haven't had this before. It's foreign. I'm like Bambi. My legs are shaking and my hands are shaking and I'm finding my way, but I'm finding my way. And I think that's the biggest part. I forgot to mention that my relationships with my brothers and my sisters are okay. We're older. We're all doing our own things. I still stay in constant contact with both my younger brothers, like two. I have four, but two of my younger brothers. I'm grateful for them because I can literally be on the phone with them for hours and we can talk about anything from childhood to current events. You know, our relationship has even came a super long way. I was raised by my mom. She was a single mother, constantly in domestic violence relationships. It was always me and my two younger brothers. My older sisters were there at a point, then eventually they ended up running away and I followed suit and ran away after. I didn't grow up with my mom's side of the family. I grew up with my dad's side of the family, even though my dad wasn't really present as much as I would have liked him to be. We're constantly waiting for him and he wouldn't show up. My mom still had a good relationship with the family, so we would go to my grandmother's house. We would be around my cousins. When he did show up, he would bring around. So that's really the only family that I knew. My mom's side of the family, I'm just now getting to know in my 30s after my mom passed away. When my mom passed away, we just shattered like glass. Like we all went in different directions and we tried to hold it together. Unfortunately, me and my sisters don't talk all the time. We have a decent relationship. Like I wish we were a lot closer. I wish we could see each other more often. I know they all have kids and families and that takes priority. And then, you know, my younger brothers, we constantly talk on like video chat and texting. So we're a little bit more closer. We keep our bond a little bit tighter. We also were the three younger ones that stayed in the house the longest until I ran away, I think in like 5th or 6th grades. I just want to wrap this up by saying thank you guys so much for listening. I'm excited. I finally have a laptop and my brother also got me a mic. My mic broke, so I was able to finally record not on my phone. So now I can actually look at my notes and hopefully build a better flow. I have all my outlines on my phone. I was recording on my phone and trying to look at it was a long process. Now that I can have my notes on my phone where I can go back to my topics and my outline, be able to talk, I hope it starts to create a better flow for my future episodes. Thank you guys so much for yapping with me today. If this episode reminded you that family is who you feel safe with, not just those who you share blood with, but those that help you feel light, help you laugh, help you feel soft, and help you build strength, that's your family. Remember, you have permission to protect your peace, redefine what love looks like, and build a family rooted in choice, not just in history or DNA. If this spoke to your spirit, share it with someone who feels like family. Don't forget to tap in with me over on Instagram at A Place to Yap. Let me know what part hit home. Until next time, keep feeling, keep healing, and keep showing up for the life you're creating for yourself. This has been your safe space, A Place to Yap.